Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the August 22nd, 2025 edition of News from the Front Lines of Business. I am David Huff, CPA, founder of DW Huff Consulting, and here we go. So another week has passed us up here. So we got a couple things that came up in conversations with our clients. So the three that we're going to talk about this week are, we're going to expand a little bit more on our discussion of cryptocurrency and how to make money with it via staking. So that's one of the options that's available. So we'll go into a little more detail about that. Tax codes, some pet peeves of mine on how that word is used. And Trump accounts, we'll talk about that. It's a new savings vehicle put in place by the beautiful Bill Act. So just jumping right in. So in recent videos, we talked a little bit about how you can make money on your cryptocurrency. So normally, I guess if you have money in a bank account somewhere, you could expect that the bank or financial institution would pay you some amount of interest on a monthly basis. So that's different from our Bitcoin. So they're held in either a wallet or a different custodian. And there's no real interest per se available. So while those things are sitting there, and you waiting for price appreciation or even spend the coins yourself, and there's no real earnings. So a way you can earn money is via staking. So I guess we'll just talk a little bit about the difference between staking and mining. So there's two different ways that you can use your coins to earn something that is kind of similar to interest, right? So the two biggest coins out there are Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's why we use these for example. There's tons of others out there, and I'm not gonna, I'm definitely not an expert in this, but this is just my understanding of how these two work. And since they're the largest players in the space as I see it, we'll talk about those. So proof of stake. So that's something that's kind of particular to Ethereum. So what that involves is basically you have your Ethereum coins, you make them available on this network, and when a transaction happens, there's a certain verification that takes place where the network looks at your coins, and while this transfer is taking place, it verifies the existence of coins by using yours as a placeholder. Transaction closes and everybody's happy, and you still keep your coins, but in exchange for that, you get this reward. So they don't call it interest, but they do call it a reward. And that's what you get for making your coins available. So Bitcoin, they have a way to kind of sort of do staking, but the primary way that the Bitcoin is proven to be in existence is through this proof of work. So the way that's different from Ethereum is that, so Ethereum, your coins exist on a wallet that's been verified, and that proves that coins exist. Bitcoin has a different process, and it's a very complicated mathematical process where a computer is involved. It solves a bunch of these puzzles, and basically by doing that, it verifies the identity of those coins on the network and allows the transaction to take place. So the difference there is that what happens is that it's computer based, right? So there's very high powered computers that need to run these calculations, and it's a substantial amount of work, right? So there's a high power output and also power up, so there's a lot of draw on the electricity to run these computers, as well as the fact that you have to buy this equipment. So it's several thousands of dollars to get just one of these computers that's suitable for mining. So there's a much more of a upfront cost with Bitcoin compared to the Ethereum process. So that's the two ways you can make money, and of course that they're widely variable. So when you look at which one makes you more money, Ethereum is kind of easy, right? You don't need any special equipment. You just obligate your coins to be used in this calculation, and it does its thing. So nothing there. But on the mining side of things, depending on how frequently your computers get used, the profit can be a lot more substantial. And I guess the flip side of that, we've got to make sure we're covering all the costs to maintain the hardware and the power usage. And if you exceed that, you can make a lot more money mining. So, one's more risky, one's less risky. The risk-reward ratio is in full effect there. And yeah, so I just wanted to kind of explain that because there's something to consider. So so why you have coins and you're holding them, with the hope that the value goes up. This is another way to kind of make a little bit of money in the meantime, similar to what we do with our dividend paying stocks on the regular Wall Street type accounts. So more food for thought. All right, the second thing we're talking about is tax codes. So that's another pet peeve of mine. I've seen a few of these YouTube things out there, and just uh, so the tax code is what they're kind of sort of referring to, and that's this massive book. I don't know how many thousands of pages it's up to now, but the tax code is the rules that kind of drive how the IRS enforces tax and enforcement and tax calculations. The code is the underlying laws. But every once in a while, you'll hear these YouTubers referring to it as tax codes, and they're using this tax code to like it's a secret game cheat code that they're typing in somewhere, and it's and by typing in this code on your tax return and saving your money, then implying there's this thing that has to happen. But yeah, it's not some thing that's typing into they're referring to the code in the rules, and you can use the rules to your benefit or you can not use them, but I thought it was funny how some people were referring to it to as tax codes. So anyway, all right. So the third thing going to be looking at these Trump accounts. So this was something that was passed with the big beautiful bill, also known as the HR1 Act now, because I guess people don't like calling it the beautiful bill. But whatever. So these Trump accounts are out there, and this is a very new thing. So it's designed for dependent children, and it's a way for a parent to contribute some money. So my first point there is it's similar in that way to a 529 plan, and that your child is like the owner beneficiary, but the parent can still have some control over the account as far as liquidating it and just kind of being in control of it. So the parent can control it and direct it, but the kid is the actual beneficiary owner. Right? It's after-tax contributions, so no deduction. So just like when you contribute to non-deductible IRA or Roth, so it's similar in that way as well. And the contributions can be made by parents, guardians, unrelated individuals, or employers. So it could also be an employee benefit that you receive somewhere. You're limited to $5,000 annually, and the part from the employer can count into that total. So no matter what you do, $5,000, whatever combination of things, it caps at $5,000 annually. And for these years here that end in December of 2028, if your child's born between January 1st and December 31st of 28, the government's going to contribute $1,000 on your behalf. So it's a one-time deal. So it's not an annual, but they'll put in $1,000 into the child's account to supplement the benefits, the return there. And then also another thing that's still being kind of hashed out is who's going to actually handle the investing of the money. So currently it's set up where it's going to be only approved investment funds. So it looks like there's a list of some index funds, stock market indexes, and a couple bond indexes that are going to be available. So it's going to be a somewhat limited choice of investments. I guess more on the I wouldn't say conservative, but definitely on the moderate risk side of things, and that's where the money sits until it's withdrawn. So while the kid's living with you, before age of 18, the money stays there and compounds hopefully. And at 18, you can take it out and roll it over to another qualified account, like an ABLE account or something of that nature, or you can leave it where it is. And then it basically just follows normal IRA rules. So the way it's looking now is that the rules that they're going to follow are similar to a Roth IRA. So anything that comes out is going to be deemed first to be a contribution, so no tax on that. And once you get to the point where you've exhausted all the initial contributions, the earnings can have tax on it if you take it out before 59 and a half years of age. So you might have some penalties and interest possibly. If you use it for a qualified expense, like it's certain things like college education and some other exceptions to the IRA rules, there's ways you can get some of that money out without the penalty, but most likely still taxed. So anyway, that's how it looks. So it looks pretty good. And I guess the real benefit here is that ordinarily a child under the age of 18 who doesn't have earned income from a job can't contribute to an IRA account on their behalf. And this is one way to accomplish that and kind of give them a head start on retirement savings. So it's okay. It's not a great benefit, is what I'm kind of seeing. And overall, really, it's just not that great. I mean, the $1,000 benefit of the contribution made on your behalf from the government is good, but otherwise, as regular, almost like a regular taxable account seems to almost make more sense when you're dealing with children with not much, earned income anyway. That's going to be taxable. So I don't know. Another thing to think about. And we'll look for more specific details on that and kind of keep you updated. So real quick, upcoming deadlines of S corps and partnerships are upon us again, September 15th. We got our normal stuff that's going on with the payroll taxes that come out every month. That's also sneaking up on us. And then trust. So this is another thing to think about if you have a trust return that needs taxes filed. Even though normally the trust is going to be due on April 15th, similar to a 1040, if you file an extension, the trust is actually due September 30th instead of October 15th, like a regular 1040. So, be careful of that. Because I've unfortunately made that mistake once or twice myself over the years, where I've forgotten to do one, and dealing with the penalties is never that much fun. All right, so my closing thought for this week. I've talked a little bit about football. So here we are, our fantasy football draft season is in full effect. So it's about to get fun here. I think once we get past Labor Day, you're going to see the games on a regular, recurring basis again. And college football starts about the same time. So yeah, all is well with the world again. So with that, I will leave y'all for this week, and I wish you a happy weekend wherever you are, and we'll see you out here next week.